Hi, I'm Gary Jenkins, and welcome to the Jenkins Art Studio. Today, we're going to paint a landscape. Yes, a wonderful landscape with, we're going to play around with lights and darks and color in the trees and a little bit of sky showing. But this is going to be done, somewhat like an old master's painting. Really kind of dark, rustic color with little bright shots here and there. Let's take a look at the painting that I'll be doing for you. This is the one I look at, and oh boy, look, we've got the sky, the trees, we've got grass we can play around with, and we have a little path coming down. And with doing a painting like this, we can add all kinds of stuff to it. You could have a little barn sitting back there behind the horizon, flowers up front. Well, let's get into the painting. And let's see where it's going to take us. This is a 16 by 20 canvas. And I've got this already prepared up here, and I want to tell you about what I have on here. The canvas was painted black first with black acrylic. And then I went in and put some transparent medium over the black acrylic. So the black is dry, but the medium is wet. This will allow the paint to flow for us. Now the first thing we want to do, we'll come down to the palette and we'll just pick up a little blue color down here. And I'm using a fan brush, which I'm going to do about 98% of the painting with the old fan. We're going to come up here and we'll find the horizon. Many times we would want, if we want to show more foreground what's happening, we would push the horizon way up. If we want more trees showing, we'll pull the horizon down. So here we're going to have our horizon down fairly low, right? And we're going to sweep it down, sweep the other side back up, and we're going to have a path that's going to come out, someplace in here. Now the first thing, we're going to have trees on both sides. The first thing we want to do is we're going to come down here and pick up a little blue, and we're going to get a little sky color going back in here first. And we're just going to put that in with our fan, or you could use a large blending brush. It really doesn't matter. Now as this comes up, we want the color to be lighter on the bottom. And as it comes up, we're going to get into some wonderful kind of mauve and purpley colors. We'll just take some of this down here and throw some of that up here, and just, oh boy, I guess there's the color. You know, I'm basically a floral painter, but even though I'm doing landscapes, I'm going to put a little blue and mauve together. Even though I'm doing landscapes, I want to get some nice color into it. So I'm going dark and very mysterious up on the top, and as it comes down, it gets lighter, 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 lighter. Now that's pretty blue up there, so white is the great neutralizer. I'm going to take some white and put that in here and sort of neutralize that blue and just sort of throw it in. Maybe we have some cloud shapes back in there. Who knows? There's all kinds of stuff happening. Now I bring this out a lot wider than what it's going to end up being, because it's going to be covered up with trees. So if we were to make it the size we think and then cover it up, we'd have just a little thin little part going up there, so we don't want that. Maybe a little something, maybe have a little something growing, flying around up in there. Just be free and be loose. Now, with the same brush, and I use paper towels, we're going to wipe our brush out, clean it off, and we're going to come down to the old palette. Let's pick up a little of this sienna, sienna, and a little touch of black. And we're going to start way down on the bottom down here with a very dark color. I'm going to get a little more black on there. Now I'm using the fan brush. Now you see, I don't care what's happening on the dark side. It's just what's happening when these trees come over the light part. So that's this area right in here. And it's sort of like a vignette. And over in here, we just mush it in. Mush it in. We're going to cover this whole area up nice and dark. I'm going to reach for some more black because I want it nice and mysterious where the painting ends. Very dark on the top. Very loose. Look at that brush just flying around there. Loose, 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 loose. If you're a beginner out there, you're going to love doing this kind of landscape because it really is fun to do and simple. We're going to jump to the other side. We're going to take some sienna. Maybe this time we'll put a little touch of red with the sienna. And we're going to go on this side. Whoa! Don't put too much red in there. We're going to put a little more sienna with the red to kind of kill it. And here we are coming out over the top. Notice some of the sky color gets in there. And it sort of lightens it up, so it kind of gives a little distance. Maybe we'll come across. It shows little trees way in the back. And come on out. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And as we come out to the edge on the right-hand side, we're going to take a little black and put in there and darken that up. So we'll get the whole painting going. Remember, this is going to be really dark and mysterious looking up in here. We have to get our dark on first before we can put our color in. I'm going to come down to the bottom. You might not see too much of what's happening in here because it's pretty dark. We are going to show a little path, so we'll take, let's take a little ochre and white, very dry. And we're going to show a little path that's going to come really quite skinny in the back. And then slowly that path comes out. Ooh. Now, we want the path to go into shadow, so I'm going to take some of this mauve, maybe a little blue with the mauve, and we're going to throw that up in here. And notice how loose and free. Just let that brush work. Too many times we try to get in the way of the brush. We try to make it work. Oh, let the brush do what it wants to do. I want this to go into shadow. I'm putting black on here now, mixing it with that color. So the whole path starts out light, and it sort of twists and turns and comes down into the shadow area. Maybe we'll just take a little blue and play down here. Maybe we'll have a feeling of some grass, very dark, mysterious grass going on in here. We'll leave the top alone for now. We're going to jump up here. We have a couple hills we're going to put in. We're going to take our yellow and some sap green, and right in here we'll indicate that there's a little hill coming in here, and on the other side, and flip over the path a little bit. See, as soon as you flip over that path and into the path, it sets the path down. Now I'm always wiping on my paper towel, constantly wiping. Get that color. Now I'm going to reach for a little more dark, black and green. And I want that very dark. Now this is the base color. This is what you find underneath all of the lush color that we're going to have. So the dark goes in first. We take our time and don't rush the brush. Very, very dark and mysterious. And in here, dark. Because you can't show light unless you have dark underneath. You can't have light on top of light. It just won't work. Now, way up in here we have these trees. We're going to come down and start playing with some color because we have everything very super dark now. We're going to take our red and orange, and this is going to start, well, whoa, now look at that. The end of my brush, sometimes that'll happen. You see that? My end of my brush is pretty hard to paint with just the stick. So sometimes that happens. We'll just stick it back on there. And we'll take a little red and orange, and let's come up here and start playing with color. Now we start getting some autumn color popping. Now that wouldn't happen unless we had a real dark color underneath. Here. Now this is really just sort of abstract. It's just color, guys, and it really doesn't mean anything else except color. And when we start getting our tree limbs coming in, or trunks, then you'll say, oh, those are trees, and that's this, and that's that. But right now, we're just playing with color. We're not putting anything in there that even resembles a tree, except possibly on the edges. Now, a little more orange and yellow, and we'll come on up in here. And since this is a very nice autumn scene, we'll get some of that autumn color in and just kind of mush it in and have fun with it. Here's a little more of that red and orange again. I'm going to place a little of that in here. Just sort of place it in. Now she's cooking. Now in here, we might want a feeling of some flowers and things back there. Using the fan brush, we'll take some blue and white, and we'll just tap, tap with the edge of the brush. There it is. And we're going to have sort of a field of flowers way in the back. And I'm going to jump to the other side, and we'll have our field over here too. And we sort of walk it in sort of a Z shape. And as it comes to the dark, notice how it gets darker, darker, darker. And it sort of loses itself over there. We'll take a little more blue, and we might have a little more feeling of blue. You hit it very, very lightly, guys. Don't hit it hard. Very lightly in here. Now let's go up to the top. We want to have some tree trunks showing, so we'll take another brush. And this is quite a wide brush. It's about a number 22 brush. And we'll come down, and let's take a little white. Maybe it has a little blue with it. And right about in here, we're going to come up, way up. I'm going to find a tree in there. And we'll find another tree growing in here and here. Well, it all depends on how many trees you want. You can put as many in or just a few in. So we put them in first, and then, this is just blue and a touch of white. And then we actually go back in and take them back out again. Now there's another one going in there. Little blue and white. We'll have another one going in way up to the top. Once you start going, keep on going. Another one here and here. And way back yonder, way in the back there, we might want to show some more trees just way back there. Who knows what's back in there? Yes. Now our pathway that's going, before we get into that, and I don't want to forget to do this, we'll take a little green. And we need to go in and just sort of cover up the base of some of those trees so they're just not floating around. When you cover them up, it helps them to sit down. We're going to take a little more white and place back here, because I want a feeling of the light, that path coming, the light is in the back, coming out towards us, and gets darker, 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 darker. And here's that light spilling up. I get very quiet when I'm doing all this nature stuff. Yes. Look at the color and the flow. Now we can play like a child plays. We can say, what do we want? We have warm color on the top, and we have cool color on the bottom. So we need to marry the two together. So I'm down here picking up some orange and some yellow. Nice warm color. I'm going to take that and place that. Yes, see that? Not too much, just a little. And it's your garden. Put in as many flowers or a few flowers as you want. It's your own little private path. Who knows where the path is going, but it's going someplace back there. And up front, maybe, remember, we don't want to get bright, so we want to keep it sort of dark. I want to take more of that blue and purpley color. Now up front is where we can start getting away from doing so much of the little dot dot stuff. In a little bit we'll try to have time to show where we're going to actually have some daisies growing up front. But I want to make sure that we have enough color up here. I'm going to take some pink. This is sort of a rose color. And we're going to take and put some pink. Let's see what that does. Yes, look at that color. Yes, notice how I'm just patting. A little of that comes up forward. Yes, and don't forget the other side. And you don't want a mirror image. That means you don't want the same amount on both sides. So pick a side. Let's take the left-hand side, and let's say, well, most of our flowers are growing on the left. Now, what we have going here, as you probably have already guessed, we have a rather dark, mysterious, sort of an old world, sort of a Rembrandt-y painting. And I'll be doing more landscapes for you on the show coming up. And what we want, what I want to do, and what I love to do, is paint landscapes that are sort of moody, moody landscapes. They've got some light dancing around, and they're dark and mysterious, and you're colorful. There's a little more light going in. Maybe a little that. Maybe there's some white daisies. See there? Some of those white daisies growing. Now, it doesn't take a lot of color. You can see it's just a little bit of that white. Oh, just a little here and there. Now, if it gets too hard on you, take your blending brush and just sort of hit it, and that'll sort of blend some of that color and soften some of it out. Now, we want to clean our brush. I use paper towels all the time, guys. Got to keep that brush clean. And let's put a little zinger in there. We're going to take our red and our white, make a pink, no medium, and we're going to come right in here and put a zinger in. A zinger is a color that's a little bit lighter than the rest. You see it going in? You see that? Maybe a little touch over here. Yes, we want this beautiful autumn color coming. And don't be afraid of color. You watch my shows, you see me doing floral paintings. If I'm going to do a landscape, let's get some color in there. Yes. Maybe a little shot over here, but not as much. But, oh, that looks good. Remember, don't cover up our little light part here. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, I've got a little glare on it here, so it's hard for me to see if I missed anything up here. Let me know what's going on in this area. Now, we're going to take a little of that blue and just touch it up there just a little to kind of carry the eye out. Now up forward, this is where we can have fun, and you guys have all the time in the world at home to work on this. This is where you can actually show blades of grass. We can take a little round brush. This is the brush that comes to a nice point. You roll that brush. You see how I roll it? Pick up some white. You roll it so it comes to a point. And I'm going to take that, and up here, this is where we show detail. And I won't be able to get it all in for you. But this is where we would come in and start showing little daisies. I used to do landscapes many years ago when I was first starting to paint. And I worked for a company, a large company in Los Angeles. And I did landscapes for them, and they sold them. And I put daisies in all of my landscapes. And pretty soon, I got known. People would see one of my landscapes from across the room, and they would see all these daisies up front, and they'd say, oh, that's a Jenkins painting, because he put all those. So it was sort of like a little trademark. So by bringing these flowers up close, you can see. And you take your time. And again, remember I told you I don't have all the time in the world. But this, by bringing these in closer to us, will add depth and dimension to the whole painting, because the eye will look at all this up-close business. They will actually see detail, but then it goes back into dot dots, which leads the eye back, 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 back into the painting. Yes. Now, if it gets too dark on the edges, hey, we can lighten that up. Put a little color back in there. We'll take our fan brush and put a little, let some of these flowers just run right off the edge. And we'll do some of that on the other side, maybe a little purpley color over here. So it runs off the canvas. Okay, let's stand back and look and see what we have. We are looking good. We have a nice pathway with our trees in the back, going down here into our kind of purpley color. We'll mess around down here and maybe show a little grass growing down here. Remember, I'm just hitting it on the upstroke, and it fades away into dark. So there's really nothing down here. Though you could open it up a little bit and play like this. See? Open it up with a little light. And then take your green and black, you want a nice dark color, and overlap the light, which will make it look like there's just light hitting on the pathway. And we'll just take our blending brush and wish that out. So if you're a beginner out there and you're looking for a neat, nice, cool landscape to work with, something that's a little mysterious, something that has a play of light and plenty of flowers to mess with, this is the one for you. If we wanted to add, say we wanted a tree up closer, no problem. We'll just take our brush and say we might have a nice larger tree that comes up here. Maybe it's a little darker on the bottom. And then you would take a little black and green, and these are probably birch trees, and you might find that, you know, that characteristic little dark that you find on the trees. Hey, that looks good. We got time. Let's add another tree. Let's add another one here, way up, way up to the top. And then we'll hide the base of that with our fan brush, and we'll use our dark to put some of that feeling of the birch in there. We do have another brush that's a liner brush, which you use very, very wet. And we'll come in, roll it, and we'll put some little branches coming out of that, one there, one coming out of there. And keep the branches very, very thin and skinny. And maybe you might even find some real skinny trees way back there. You just take the brush and run with it. So we could have a whole forest of trees. Maybe we'll have another tree starting here, kind of coming up and getting lost up into the top. Yes. Okay, let's come in here, and I could see a whole lot more daisies in here, but we won't have time to put them in. But we do have a painting packet which you can refer to. That'll help you put the rest of the detail in. But that blue looks pretty good. Let's get a little darker with that blue. Right in here. Darken that up. Now you can put, using a little lighter green, if you wanted to, and again I don't have a lot of time, but you can go into putting grass in like this. And it also sets down the daisies into the painting. Now, and don't go crazy with color. You see, it's just kind of there. It's just kind of there. And I use sort of a C stroke, so it's not a straight up and down stroke. And a little, don't have, now you're going way in the back where you won't see your grass, because the grass would just be much, much, much shorter. And down here we'll just have a little hint of the grass. Well, I think we did pretty good there. Not too shabby. We might try to show a few little darks on some of those little trees back in there. Boy, that's a colorful little painting we got there. We got all kinds of stuff in there. And don't forget, we do have a little blending brush here, which you can use also to pat, because this is a vignette and it's sort of floating again with a dark on the sides. Well, there it is. I hope you guys grab your brushes and do some landscape painting. I'll be doing a couple others down the road. Thanks for watching out there, and don't forget, let's take a walk in the woods and smell the flowers. Be good to each other out there, and take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Wilt u ook leren schilderen als Gary Jenkins? Bestel dan dit prachtige boek, vol met praktische schildertips en schitterende voorbeelden. Deze unieke uitgave heeft u al in huis voor €34,50. Ook kunt u voor dezelfde prijs een dvd bestellen waarop Gary stap voor stap uitlegt hoe u zijn schildertechnieken kunt leren. Kijk voor alle bestelinformatie op omroepmax.nl of teletextpagina 332.